First Peter 2:19 says, "For it is commendable if someone bears up under the pain of unjust suffering because they are conscious of God." That's a verse. Can you kindly explain the context of this verse in modern times? Because in today's context of human rights, we are encouraged to stand up against injustice and unfair treatment at workplaces and other domains. So, how does this verse fit in current work culture and injustice in other places?
Yeah, so as I said, as an extension to what I said, I think each of us will obviously be processing this differently because one, we are at different points in our Christian walk and in our maturity. We are people with different temperaments, and we are also people, even though that read the same Bible, we are reading it through the lens of the circumstances that we have been through and the injustices that we have participated. I mean, we have been subject to, and therefore the way in which you draw conclusions will be very different. However, the ideal gold standard is the gold standard of Jesus. Okay, it's the gold standard that is given in Second Peter, because Second Peter is written in a context of intense persecution that is right at their door, with Nero, who will get a gold star for the for the many persecutors that have been there, many Caesars that have been there, the worst perhaps. Okay, and so that's the ideal, that's the gold standard, and we all know that it's a very lofty ideal, and that's why some of the comments that I inserted in blue in my own reading, I was not like, oh yes, I'm going to do that, and I'm not really gung-ho about those passages, and I wish these passages were not there, but nevertheless, that is what Jesus did, and that is what we are called to do. Maybe we're not ready even to process it and accept it today, but that's the way of victory. That's the way, it's been role model to us. There has been a precedent and all of that. But again, there are Christians, at least people from Christian persuasions, who have been human rights leaders. Okay, take Martin Luther King, for example. He claimed to be a deeply spiritual man, and some of the human rights movement, William Wilberforce, of course, okay, against the slave trade. So we as Christians should fight the system where we find injustice. And definitely, if a group of people that are under our care are suffering, I said we need to really take responsibility, and we need to decide whether we are going to be collectively pacifistic about it or whether we are going to be aggressively protecting and fending our own. If somebody is going to walk and storm into my room and my house tonight and going to harm my daughter and my wife and my parents, I'm not going to be saying, "Oh, brother, I'm going to ask all of my family to endure all of this." And if they are willingly, individually deciding to do that for the sake of honoring Christ, that's a different thing. But I, as a father, and I, as a son, should do everything in my capacity. It's just my opinion, my take, to see that no harm is inflicted on my own. I'll perhaps offer myself first. I'll perhaps come in the way of their harm and do what needs to be done. So this is a very deep issue and a deep subject. And I think the answers the ideal answer is somewhere there, but we find it hard to reach there yet. We're all in different places right now in our maturity, and we all have different temperaments, different experiences, circumstances, injustices done to us. And therefore, some of us have turned into champions for the weak, champions for the feeble, champions for the oppressed, and that is what we should do as Christians as well. But again, individually, what you would do if somebody were, persecuting you for your faith? Are you going to punch him in the face? I don't think we're called to do that, right? Are you then supposed to just go and surrender? No, Jesus, every time he was trying to be persecuted, much before his mission was accomplished, would move and slip away and slide away and escape until that time. when he knew that it's his time and that he need to surrender. So I think we need to process all of these scriptural passages together. Individual persecution, if somebody and I am caught up, and it has to be, it will be, and may God give me the strength to undergo that. But if somebody under my care is being harmed, I personally will not be a pacifist. And if collectively as a family we decide and say, hey, let's go through this for the honor of Christ, that's a different thing. So it's very nuanced, and there's no easy answer, but there's an ideal. And let's continue to think about this, and let's read up a little more about this. And I'm glad that this came up and we had so much of time to deal with this.
Sure.